Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. I'm your host Eleonora. I'm a registered migration agent here in Perth, and the migration agency that I manage is Green Wings Migration. Before going into today's topic, I would like to take a few minutes to thank a lot all the people that, after my call to action from last video, actually hit the subscribe button. It's 50 of them. It may not sound a big number, but for us it is a lot. And it does indicate that you are really appreciating the topics that we discuss, the effort that we put into this channel. And it's a little starting block to drive the growth of our channel to even bigger results. So thank you so much. And I also wanted to tell you, if you already didn't know, that we also have an Instagram page that you could follow if you want to. The Instagram page posts with more frequency compared to the YouTube channel, obviously, because it doesn't require as much time to record videos and prepare all the scripts. And it's also a lighter approach to the migration system in Australia. So, we share stories and memes that maybe can make you laugh for a little bit. So if you want to give us a follow over there, you are the most welcome, and I would appreciate you very, very much. So the topic that I prepared for you today is the working holiday visa. Or I should say, there are two kinds of working holiday visas. One is called working holiday and is subclass 417, and the other one is a work and holiday subclass 462. Don't hate me, but for today's video, I will just call them working holiday. If I try to distinguish the two names, I'm sure that I will make mistakes speaking, so please be kind, accept that it's working holiday visa, and I'm referring to all of them, okay? And if I need to explain some differences between one and the other, I will just spell out the subclass number, so there are no issues, no confusions whatsoever. So the 417 working holiday visa is specific for some countries, like for example, European countries, Canada, and some Asian countries, while the 462 is for other regions like, Spain, for example, or India recently was introduced to the program. What makes the difference? You could have understood it's the nationality. Okay, so your nationality determines what subclass you might apply for and what subclass you might receive. And this is just determined at a very high political level. It has to do with international agreements between Australia and the other countries around the world. So depending on the overseas politics that apply to your country, there may be better concessions for you or worse concessions for you. Right now, the people that have the best life, so to speak, when they come with a working holiday visa to Australia, are people with a UK passport. If you come from the UK since last year, you can come for 3 years in a row, and you don't have to do some specific jobs that other nationalities have to do in order to renew your stay. So that would be the best. I was surprised, though, that many people I met in consultation coming from the UK weren't aware of this. So if you are from the UK, if you know people coming from the UK, please share this information with them. This is a great opportunity for you to leave England temporarily, permanently, that's up to you, of course, and come to experience Australia with your working holiday visa. Working holiday visas are very common, okay? So obviously you might come from a country that doesn't have that visa scheme available to you, but as an agency, we deal with many people that use the working holiday visa as their first bridge to enter Australia. So thanks to this, we were able to collate a list of questions that I received during my consultations, as well as questions that we received through Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube channel. And I'm going to analyze all these questions one by one. So maybe you have the same doubts that my clients had before, and I will be able to resolve these issues for you and help you understand how to use the working holiday visas at best in order to develop a sustainable migration pathway in Australia. So a very common question that I receive is, how long can I stay with my working holiday visa? So why is this person asking this question? Because working holiday visas allow you to stay for up to 3 years in Australia. So normally what happens is that the first working holiday visa, you must apply for it while being overseas. That could be your own country or another country, it doesn't really matter as long as you are not in Australia. And the request for the first working holiday visa is pretty straightforward. They only ask you to provide copies of your ID documents, your resume, work experiences, your current address. And if you apply for the 462, then you might also need to provide evidence of your schooling and evidence of your English level. Once you provide this evidence, it's very rare that the working holiday visa is refused, unless there are very important character issues or important health issues. But that's a very, very limited amount of people that would be prevented to come with a working holiday visa. So then you get your approval, and your approval is in place for 12 months, meaning that during these 12 months, you can come to Australia at any point in time. And once you cross the border for the first time, your first working holiday visa officially starts. So from the day that you come to Australia, you will have 12 months to experience Australia, to work, to study, to do pretty much whatever you want. Within this year, you might work certain specific jobs, and we're going to check what they are later on. And if you complete 88 days of these specific jobs during your first working holiday, you can acquire the right to extend your stay for a second year. And if you do the same during the second year, but work in 6 months in specified jobs, then you can also extend for a third year. Now, do you have to use your working holidays in sequence? No. You can work your 88 days, leave Australia, so not apply directly for your second working holiday visa, come back years later and use the second working holiday visa then, and the same applies to the to going from the second working holiday visa to the third working holiday visa. Obviously, what you must make sure is that you're always within the age limit that this visa imposes. So for certain countries, you can use the working holiday visa scheme up until you are 35 years old. For others, the limit is set lower at 30. And then again, there is nothing you can do about it. It's all about international negotiations between your country and Australia. What kind of work qualifies you to extend your working holiday visa? So the legislation around working holiday visas has changed immensely since the program was first introduced. Why did it change? It changed because the working holiday visa is the most effective visa that Australia can use to supply ready available workforce in the sectors that need it the most. And we saw this particularly to be true during COVID, where working holiday visa holders were essential to keep the country running. Okay, we don't go into further details, but it's during the COVID period that we saw the majority of changes applicable to the working holiday visa programs. So much so that right now, the most reliable source of information as far as working holiday visas are concerned is the Department of Immigration's website itself. Normally the website is not super user-friendly. It doesn't list all the possible if and buts around migration legislation. But when it comes to working holiday visa, I must admit that they did a great job. So the website specifies the work that you can carry out, how to calculate your days, the postcodes where one job is valid when the other job is not valid, and so on and so forth. So the rule of thumb is that work carried out in farming position, agricultural position, tree farming and felling, fishing, pearling, construction, mining, hospitality in certain areas, health work related to COVID in certain areas, they all count towards renewing your working holiday visa. Not all jobs, however, are valid everywhere. So then again, when we consider renewing working holiday visas, we must refer to the classification of Australia in terms of its regional areas and its remote areas. So there are jobs that you can do in regional areas of Australia that will guarantee your renewal, but there are others that you must do in remote areas. And for example, the most common one being hospitality and tourism. So if you want to use hospitality and tourism in order to renew your working holiday visa, then you need to check carefully if the postcode where you're carrying out your job is considered valid for the purpose of the renewal. Something that sometimes can happen is that you need more time to complete a particular project that you are working on during the duration of your working holiday visa. So working holiday visas, as I said at the beginning, they come with the working rights. So you can come and do pretty much whatever you want, with one very important limitation. You cannot work for the same employer for more than 6 months at any given time. So let's say, for example, that you're working on a construction project. The project isn't finished when your 6 months are up. What do? You either leave or you seek permission from the government to allow you staying with the employer until the project is finished. This request is made online. There is a form that you need to complete. There is a letter that your employer needs to write specifying why they need you, why they cannot substitute you with anyone else. Currently, and this advice is valid as of January 2025, so if you're watching this video some weeks or months later, please always double check on the department's website. But the department states on that specific link that they are so overwhelmed by requests of people who want to stay with their employer longer than the 6 months that they don't have the capacity to respond to each and every one. So the assumption is you can stay and keep working beyond the 6 months until you receive a feedback from them. If that feedback is positive, then you can stay until the day that is specified on the letter that you will receive. If the feedback is negative, quit working right away, because otherwise you will be in breach of your visa conditions. Another question that I came across this week was, I am at the end of my 3rd working holiday visa and I still want to stay with my employer. So in this case, in this scenario, the discussion will be completely different, because we need to expand to alternative visa options. And we are recording a video that's specific for this topic, because that requires a lot of analysis and is not the purpose of this particular video. So for now, just know that if you need to stay for longer than 6 months with your employer, you can request this extension. There are cases, however, where the extension is not required. So let's say, for example, that you work for a company that has different offices, different branches around the country, okay? If you are moved from one branch to another, even if you are receiving payments, even if you're being employed by the same entity still, it's not considered a breach of the 6 months, because you're effectively bringing your work and your skills to a different branch of the business, so that would be okay. And there are also sectors where you can stay with the employer without needing to request an extension, because the sector is considered critical. That would, for example, be the case again for the hospitality sector. Okay, so always check what you're doing, what's the industry that you're working in, and this particular page on the department website has any possible doubt clarified for you. And again, they did a very good job. On this point, if you have specific questions about your own circumstances, you're not sure of what's written on the website, you're not sure that you understand it fully, feel free to send us a DM on Instagram. We are much more responsive over there. So just send your question. We will be super happy to reply and to make sure that you do the right thing, or at least suggest you doing the right thing. Then it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. Second question, can I study while on a working holiday visa? Yes, you can, okay? You can do it only for up to 17 weeks per working holiday visa. So it's 4 months roughly on the first, 4 months on the second, 4 months on the third. Why is this opportunity a good opportunity that, in my opinion, not enough people use? Because it allows you to study a short English course, okay? So many people come with a very decent level of English, many others don't. For those people who don't, I cannot stress enough how important it is to make yourself used to speak English, comfortable with the use of the English language, for your own experience, for your own benefit. Imagine being in a country where you cannot communicate. What kind of experience can you experience? It's not going to be the same as a person who comes and can actually have full conversation with everyone. Notwithstanding the fact that Australian accent and the Australian language is quite complicated, it's surely different from the English that you learn during your summer vacation in the UK. But at least if you come and if you attend some classes, you will gain that confidence that helps you face any life challenge during your experience with a better attitude. And especially it allows you to find better employment opportunities. Sometimes you can't communicate, you can only aspire to certain positions, but if your language barrier is not a barrier, then you can also try to explore different avenues. And there are also some, beside English, there are also some short courses that you might be interested in too. For example, if you want to work in hospitality but you have never served a coffee, maybe you can do a short course as a barista coffee maker, learn how to do it and find job quite easily. What financial requirements must I meet for the working holiday visa? So working holiday visas, as we said, they allow you to come to Australia and work. So the overall idea is that you use the working holiday to explore the country, and while you travel around, you can support yourself through work. However, the department also wants to make sure that in difficult situations, you are not stranded and alone. So they do want you to come here with at least $5,000, or the equivalent in your currency of $5,000, so that should anything happen, you are safe. You have access to financial resources that could help you pay a medical bill, for example, or buy a flight ticket back home because something important is happening. You need to demonstrate this when you actually apply for your working holiday visa. The application does ask you to upload a copy of your bank statement, and it's important that when you upload this document, your name is visible, not just the amount. Because if we can only see your amount, then obviously it could be anyone else's bank statement. So the department must be able to verify that those funds are on your bank account, okay? I mentioned something about medical expenses, which lead to the other question, do I need a health insurance? Well, do you need it? Is not a legislative obligation, but would I recommend you have one? Yes, 100%. If you come from certain countries, again, your country has negotiated with Australia the possibility to offer you the national health system cover, which is Medicare. But in most cases, this cover is limited, and the services covered by Medicare also can change between different states. For example, if you are in Western Australia, calling an ambulance is not free. Calling an ambulance is not covered by the Medicare system, and it's also quite expensive. I'm talking about approximately $1,000. So last time I needed was $960, and I'm talking about probably 6 years ago. So definitely the prices have gone up by now. How to avoid that? Subscribe a work-related or a travel-related insurance. You don't need to use an Australian insurer if you feel more comfortable using an insurance from your own country. That's perfectly fine. But make sure that you are covered for all possible activities that you will carry out with your working holiday visa. So I'm thinking, for example, if you take out a visitor visa cover, for example, it might not cover you for accidents that happen while you work, because in theory that insurance was connected to a visitor visa, so something that you get only to come here and explore the country. So simply saying, make sure that you read the fine print, because that's very important, and you don't really want to find yourself stuck in a situation where the medical bill is huge and you cannot afford to pay it. During the years, I've been working with many insurances, because for some visas, having a private health insurance is compulsory. Right now, the provider that we recommend is Bupa. Obviously, we have a partnership with them. It's normal for agency to choose a preferred provider. But the preference with Bupa for me is not because they are the provider that pay me the most if I refer them, is because they are the provider that offer, in my opinion, the better service for the premiums that the clients pay. They have a nice customer service as well, And as agency, we have a dedicated broker that can explain you what your coverage covers and how to use it and what are the benefits that you may claim and so on and so forth. So if you want more details about Bupa, just send us a message. We can give you the details of our broker. Then, can I move with my family on a working holiday visa? Good question. So as I said at the beginning, working holiday visa are for younger people, but some of these younger people may be towards the upper end of the scale of younger and being aged between, 28 and 35. And this is an age where most people decide to create a family. So you may find yourself with a partner and with children. If you want to migrate as a family, if you don't have children, that's no problem whatsoever. Each partner can get their own individual working holiday visa. You can be together on the same working holiday, but by all means, you can come together, use the visa at the same time, develop, your experience and skills here, and then move on with different visa pathways later on. If you have children, however, this cannot happen. So when you apply for your working holiday visa, you specifically declare that you will not be with your dependent children in Australia during the course of your working holiday visa. How to go around it? Some people choose to, one of the parents come first, and then when they settle, the family joins them. Or maybe one of the parents come with the working holiday visa and the other parent comes with visitor visa and the children come with visitor visas as well. Officially, this is very borderline because the legislation specifies that you should not be accompanied by your minor dependent children while you are in Australia with a working holiday visa. So maybe if you have one of these situations, speak with a migration agent before doing the visa, before buying the ticket, so they could advise you on what's the best option in your specific circumstances. Finally, what advice do I have for people who come on working holiday visas? I think I reiterated this message so many times that you guys must be very, fed up with me when I say this, but obviously you could use your working holiday visa just as a mere tool to have one of the greatest experiences of your life. Nothing wrong with that, okay? But what I can see is that Australia has a tendency to get into your head. So many people who come just for the sake of the experience later on change their mind and trying to find a way to stay a little bit longer, or some of them on a permanent basis. I think you are better equipped with your options if you understand what these options are early on in the process, so that if you do change your mind at the end of your working holiday visa, you are not left with no options but very expensive solutions, okay? So if you come and you meet a registered migration agent early on in the process, they might give you already good ideas about what your options and strategies could be. And then you have all the time of this work to evaluate these options and decide whether they are applicable to you, whether you're happy with them, or if you're not interested in staying, you just take them as advice and you leave them as advice as they are, okay? So speak with an agent sooner rather than later, understand what you can do. Working holiday visas are a great tool to develop a more consistent migration pathway in Australia. And if you want to know what these pathways could be, watch our second video because we're going to go in further details on this topic. So thanks a lot for watching my video today. I remind you that if you would like to be more in contact with us and be part of our community, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have our website, and we are always very happy and open to receive your questions. So you can send us an email at info@greenwingsmigration.com.au or the direct messages on both Messenger and Instagram. And also, if you like the video, subscribe to the channel so we can produce even more content, valuable content for you. Thanks a lot.